So, hello everybody. My name is Solomon Jones, aka Sully, aka your girlfriend's favorite YouTuber. Yes, sir. And I got a special guest today, Mr. Erik from Minority Nomad, aka the Globetrotter, aka the Pimp in Asia, whatever you want to call him.
Oh man, don't put that in the stratosphere.
And you know, Erik right now is on the quest to basically travel the world. He's been in over 90 countries now. Is that right?
Yeah, 90. Yeah, I just hit 90 a couple months ago. I'm actually on my way to 91 in 12 days. I'm going to Sri Lanka.
All right, Erik. Now, earlier you were talking about your history, a bit of traveling. How did you get into traveling? What sparked it? Did you just decided one day, you know, I'm bored of living in Cleveland, let me travel somewhere else? Or what motivated you, inspired you to travel?
Man, you know what? It's not a really unique story, man. I got my girlfriend pregnant when I was 16, and then I had to take care of my fam. So I joined the military. I joined the Air Force, and I served in U.S. Air Force for 10.5 years. And you know, it was interesting. The first time I had ever been on a plane was when I joined the Air Force. You know, I flew from Cleveland to San Antonio, Texas, and I was 18. And the bug hit me. The thing about the military is it drops you in the deep end of the pool of everything in life. You know, of discipline, of training, of education, of travel. You get dropped right in the middle of it. You know, when you get orders overseas, it's not like you and 15 of your homies. It's you. You got a set of orders, so you got to go. So you got to figure out how to get through the airport. You got to figure out how to get through customs. You got to figure out how to find your way around a new city where you don't speak the language. You know, so the military is really what got me fired up. I grew up reading. I don't know if you remember Reader's Digest.
Yep. Yep.
So you remember the Watchtower from the Jehovah's Witnesses? No, so like, people be sleeping on those. Like, so I remember as a kid, the Jehovah's Witnesses would come through the neighborhoods because I lived in an area that wasn't necessarily exclusively black. It was just everybody was poor. It was the area of Cleveland where Bone Thugs and Harmony were, 76 and St. Clair. So in that area, you had a lot of older immigrants from the former Yugoslavia. So I grew up around Polish, Romanian, Bulgarian, Ukrainian, Russian. Like those, they were just, you know, neighbors. They were just, you know, the old lady next door. So I would read their magazines because they were Orthodox Catholics. Like they were from all different. So I would read the Watchtowers and the Reader Digest and the newspapers and all kind of stuff. So as a kid, I was already exposed to these different cultures already. Like I grew up on pierogies. Like some people grew up on fried chicken. I grew up on pierogies. Like, so I went to Poland, yo, it was like a homecoming for real. So when I joined the military and I had an opportunity to travel, like the world opened up because it wasn't as expensive as people had made it out to seem. It wasn't as scary as people made it out to seem. Like I've always felt more comfortable outside of the U.S. than I have within.
Really?
You know, and oh man, we can get into that later, man. But real, like, to this day, I still feel far more comfortable outside of the U.S., man. When I go home, man, my heart starts pounding, man. I'm all nervous. I'm on edge, man. It's crazy. But yeah. So I mean, I'm sorry, man. I went the long way around on that answer, but really, the United States military got me the bug, man. I was stationed in Turkey. I was stationed in Germany. I lived in Germany. I was in South Korea. I spent a lot of time in the Middle East. So, you know, the first place that I went, that I met locals, was this place called Karshi-Kanabad, Uzbekistan. Okay. And we went on, and I didn't realize I was black until then. I never ever paid attention to my blackness until somebody pointed it out to me. Somebody from another country, they started calling me Mike Tyson. They were like, Mike Tyson, Mike Tyson. And people forget how big Mike Tyson was.
Right.
In the 90s, Mike Tyson was global. He was the most popular black man on the planet. So when they see us, the former Russian bloc, they see me and another brother. It was me and a brother about your size, and you know, we were soldiers, so we were, you know, relatively decent sized guys. And when we went through Mike Tyson, and we asked the interpreter, like, why are they calling us Mike Tyson? I don't look shit like Mike Tyson. It was like, because Mike Tyson is the black guy. Like, he's the black American guy. So when they see that, that jumped off. So yeah, man, the United States military, man, they opened my eyes for real.
Now, not to veer off topic, but I do have to touch on this a little bit. You mentioned that your goal was to travel the whole world, and you made a blog about it, and you got criticism primarily from African Americans or black people.
Yeah, man, my biggest critics are black folks by far. It's not even close.
My question is, do you think it's jealousy, which obviously is a disease, but especially in the black community, that garners you this hate, or is it?
I think it's twofold. I think it's jealousy, and that's the easy. It's easy to just kind of brush it off as hate, but it's also a lot of us trying to hold on to our identity. People forget that our entire culture was destroyed and rebuilt from the ground up. Like, everything that we are is fake. It's manufactured. Or a lot of the African American culture is given to us. People are like, why are so many black folks Southern Baptists? Because we were told to be Southern Baptists. And we aren't naturally just running to Jesus. Like, no, that's vestiges of slavery. Right. And so many people don't even think about that. They'll run to church every Sunday and don't even realize how that is a manifestation of the slave mentality. Right. So I think a lot of the hate that I get, because I have a tendency to push back on a lot of the stereotypical narratives that are associated with our community and some of the fuckery, as we call it, like some of the foolishness that goes on in our community. It's like, yo, man, we have to do better. A lot of people are like, yo, no, this is all part of who we are. Like, I mean, the misogyny, the drug use, the lack of education, the cycle of poverty is part of who we are. And I fight against that narrative a lot. And I get flack for it because a lot of people feel like it's an attack on who they are. I love my family, but there are a lot of people in my family who just don't get it. They that sit on the porch mentality. Like, yo, I'm gonna spend Friday, Saturday, Sunday sitting on the porch doing nothing. But it's not even that. Like, if that's what you want to do you. I'm perfectly okay with that. But don't complain. Don't complain about nothing. Like, you don't. If you're not part of the solution, right of that hate and that pushback comes from.
Right.
And it also could come off as a little arrogant. Like, seriously, like, man, I've been in 90 countries, man. That's an achievement that I'm very proud of. I have no problem with saying that. But with that, humility doesn't necessarily come with that. So I definitely own up to having a little bit of bravado.
Well, in that situation, I think it's well earned, because there's some people that will never even leave their neighborhood in their lifetime, even in 2016, which might be hard to fathom, but it's realistic, especially in the U.S. Erik, one of the things I focus on in my channel is self-improvement. Part of my journey is getting back in shape. I talk a lot about that. And a lot of brothers hit me up about, hey, traveling, because, I've been to Germany, I've been to Ghana, Africa, been to different places in the U.S. But a lot of their concern is that, hey, how much money should I save? I don't really make a lot of money. I work a low-paying job. What advice do you give to those brothers or minorities who don't necessarily make a lot of money, but they still have that wanderlust to travel and explore the world?
So I'll go with twofold. The very first is about money. The first thing I'll touch on is about money. The very first thing about travel is you have to decide you want to travel. That has to be a choice. And not only do you have to decide, because that's easy. Everybody says they want to travel. But you have to make that life decision. Travel's like working. It's just like working out. You got to get up. You got to hit the gym. You got to make life changes. You can't say I want a 6-pack abs and eat double cheeseburgers every single day. You can't. It doesn't. That's just the reality of it. Like, sure, you might, get an ab. You might get in better shape still eating them cheeseburgers. But there's there's steps and specific changes that you're going to have to make. It's the same thing with saving money for travel. You need to set a target, and you need to go after that target with everything you have. And I think part of our issue is, for people, this isn't even an exclusively black thing, is that people are so used, especially Americans, to things being handed to us and being able to get away with half-assing things. I am a serial procrastinator because I'm good enough to get away with it. We have an education system where if you're halfway decently smart, you can wait till the night before the papers due to write it, because they'll give you a C and you're good. You know, that's I mean, that's life, but it's not. But when you're 30, I'm 33 now. When you're 30, you can't eat an entire pizza anymore and have abs. Like you can't do that. Like, so you gotta elevate based on your current circumstance. So, for example, if you're working a basic minimum wage 9-to-5 job, it's going to be tough to save money. That means you have to sacrifice something. It has to be sleep. It might be free time with your family, but something has to be sacrificed because you can't have it all. So, for example, to live this lifestyle, it's 8:30 p.m. right now. I went to sleep at 5 a.m. last night, and I was back up at 9 a.m. And I'm probably going to end up having to do the same thing tonight because of this project I'm working on. Doesn't bother me one bit, because that is the sacrifice I have to make to fulfill that goal that I want. So if you want, say, for example, I was just doing a little bit of research for a partner of mine about flights from the U.S. to Budapest. You want to go to Budapest. The cheapest flight that I saw to go to Budapest was around $215 one way. So let's say $450 for a round trip ticket to Budapest.
From the U.S.?
Yeah, from the U.S. Man, I'll help you. I will help you on. I'm your travel guru, my man. So let's say around $450 for a round trip plane ticket if you plan it properly to get to Budapest, Hungary. And I would say let's make that a 1 week window. I mean, you can get a week off. We can find a week off work, 7 days, everybody. In that 7 days, let's say you cut back and you be like, I'm traveling solo. Let me stay in a hostel. The average cost of a hostel, say a dorm, is going to run you, say, $10 a night. So let's say that's $70. That's $70. So we ain't even cracked the $600 mark. Right. So your flight's paid for and your round trip plane ticket. That's income tax return. That's at least your income tax return. So let's factor in food. Let's say food costs you another $10 a day. So now we're up to, say, $140 on the ground. So your food's covered, your accommodation's covered, your flight is already covered, and you ain't even cracked $600.
And Erik, don't forget passports and visas, because a lot of brothers don't know about that.
You know what, man? No, it's Europe. You don't need a visa. There's no visa. You rock up. You got 90 days to do whatever you want in Europe. A passport less than $100.
Oh yeah.
So let's say I've just laid out one vacation a year for less than $1,000 for 1 week. Right. 1 week holiday for less than $1,000.
And you know what? When I think about that, realistically speaking, if you like me, I'm not married. I don't have kids. So why wouldn't I realistically be able to travel 3-4 times a year with that type of budget?
Be 3-4 months a year, man. I'd say single brothers should be going on holidays at least every 4 months. At least every 4 months.
I agree.
And it's it's too expensive to travel. Man, I booked a flight from Turkey, November 18th. I'm flying from Istanbul, Turkey to Bangkok. I'm in Asia until March, and I fly from Bangkok to London. And I think that ticket cost me $260 round trip. That's for a round trip.
How do you get those tickets? Where do you go, Mr. Guru, for these?
Man, here's the thing, man. There's this Facebook group called Secret Flying, which does all these glitch fares and all that stuff and deals up to date. man, I live on skyscanner.com. I'm always looking for different moves. And here's the thing, man, travel is my life. So, and back to your original question, man, the very first thing when it comes to money, you need to set a goal. So anybody who's listened to this, anybody who reads it or hears about this video, decide, okay, I'm going to save $1,000 a year for a holiday. If you save $1,000 a year, if you save $1,000 for a holiday, you send me a message and I'll plan your entire vacation for you for under $1,000. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. Like, yeah, no, you ain't gonna be staying in 5-star hotels in the middle of Paris, but I guarantee you, I will get you there and you're gonna have a good time.
Now, Erik, sometimes what me and my boys do, I got 2 friends that I travel with, and they're very successful, you know, with the businesses that they do. And we do something called Airbnb, which I know you're familiar with.
I'm standing one right now.
You split it Airbnb with 3 people. It's dirt cheap. It's less than, you know, $200.
Where you go, man? This Airbnb, I'm in a 1-bedroom apartment for $22 a night in the middle of Bangkok. Like, I wish I could show you this view. It's sick. Like, it depends on where you go, man. And I think that this is the problem, man. And this goes back to media representation because we grew up. Yeah, I'm 33. I figure you're close to my age.
I'm 32. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, man, where the only people you saw traveling was wealthy white folk. Right. So they would go in these, like, so in our head, travel is Paris. Travel is Barcelona. Travel is Barbados and London and Jamaica, like some of the world's most expensive places. But travel can be, yo, man, I have so much fun in Romania. I have so much fun in Thailand. I have so much fun in Colombia. And I barely spend anything, man. Like, I've been traveling full-time for about 4 years. I've never spent more than $1,300 US on travel in a month.
Now, Erik, I got a question. Now, it may sound silly to you, but, you know, you got to remember some of these brothers have never traveled much. There's some concern, you know, some brothers ask me, well, what if I go to a place like Russia or Poland? As a black guy, don't I have to worry about those neo-Nazis? What do you say to those? And I don't know if you've been to those places. But
you gotta worry more about the cops in the U.S. than you gotta worry about some neo-Nazis. Like, really? Man, come on, man. Let me tell you, I lived in Poland. I lived in Warsaw and Krakow. And I've been to Russia. Russia, first off, I'm not going to sit here and say that racism exists, because it does. But it's not even close to being as open and prevalent as it is in the U.S. Not even on the same. The United States of America is the most openly bigoted and racist place I've ever seen in my life. Anywhere in the world. I've been to 90 countries. And I've gone to a lot of the places that people think are racist. Man, I got in Poland and Hungary and Czech Republic and Moldova and Ukraine and Lithuania and Latvia. One of my best friends are Romanian. Like I go to, man, I lived in Bucharest for 2 months. Like, yo, man, it's not, there are neo-Nazis running around, but they do their thing, man. Like, and there's nationalism. Like, man, honestly, it ain't a concern. It really shouldn't. It's not a concern. Like,
do you think it's propaganda then, or because
I wouldn't say propaganda because that would mean that it's relative. It's kind of not true. Right. But I would say that the negative is highlighted. There could be, for example, if you take 100 flights and one flight is delayed, what flight are you going to say the most about? That one delayed flight. Exactly. You got a 99% success rate, and you're going to bitch about the one. That's how it is. That's how it is, because the stories that if you type in and say, yo, black travel, racism, everything about racist incidents are going to pop up, no matter how minor or rare they actually are. Like, it was this whole thing that came up about Airbnb being racist. And I thought it was the most ridiculous bullshit that I'd ever seen. I never discount somebody's lived experience, but as somebody who's been on a platform forever, I have never experienced any kind of racism or bigotry on the system. That's not to say it doesn't exist, but
Right.
I would say that as an African American traveler, if you leave the country looking for racism, you're going to find racism, even if it's not. You're going to find if you're going to look for open and honest and cool people, that's what you're going to find. If you're looking to turn up, that's what you're going to find. When you leave the U.S., you find what you're looking for.
Okay. Now, what about what about language barriers? Some people have reservations. I don't speak the language. How will I get around?
Everybody speak English, man. We can thank the British for that, man. Like, everybody speaks English, man. British and Western media. I think the only two languages that you really need to know to travel pretty much anywhere in the world is English and Spanish. But even if you don't speak Spanish, you're good, man. Especially in the major cities, like if you go to, let's use Romania for example. Bucharest is the capital of Romania. Most people speak English. But if you go to the north, in Piatra Neamț, close to Moldova, very few people speak English. Excuse me, outside of the tourism industry. It's
now,
the
Erik,
same. Yeah, go ahead.
I gotta ask this, man.
Yeah.
You've been to, almost 100 countries, and I'm pretty sure you've seen a lot of beautiful women of different cultures and races. But if you had to make I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, but if you had to make a top 5 or top 10 list of the most beautiful women, top 5 or 10, which places?
Ooh. You know what, man? Man, I get this so often, man. I should have a better answer. But here's the thing, man. The world is a kaleidoscope, man, and it's so like for me. I have a wide range of personal taste in beauty. I find beauty in a lot of different types, in different body types, skin tones, hair types, personality types. I find beauty. Some of my favorite women are Romanian women. Romanian women, stereotypically beautiful, are the Swedes, the Swedish. Oh my God! Even the dudes, man. I mean, Swedish people are ridiculously attractive. Like you just look at them, like God damn! Like how does everybody look good in Stockholm? Like everybody's in shape and shit. Like everybody's all smart. Like they speak 8 languages. It's crazy. But I'd say Swedes, Germans, South Africans. My God, and not only. The black South Africans, but the white South Africans as well. South African people, I would say Egyptians. Egyptians are stunning. Yeah, man, I really stick to it kind of, and I only want to start pretty much. If you're from South America, that's it. The highest concentration of beautiful people is in Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Okay.
By far. Oh my God, Colombians, Argentinians, Brazilians, beautiful people, man. I'm telling you, it's nuts. But again, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, man. I prefer women with meat on their bones, I regularly don't date Asian women. I look for really thicker women, so I'll go towards a Central and Eastern European woman, African women, Latin women. So yeah, that's my taste. That's my type, man.
Okay. Now, having gone to many different foreign places, have you found issues in terms of dating women because of cultural differences, or are there issues in regards to other things?
Not necessarily, man. Really, here's the thing about being a black man. You are normally the black guy. So anybody who's ever had a thing, and again, this is the real, man. There are a lot of people who only date a certain kind of people. Like there are white guys who only date black women. There are black women who only date black men. So if I go to a place like Poland and there's a Polish woman who only dates brothers or who's only attracted to brothers, and I show up, there we go. So that happens regularly. And I keep telling brothers this, like, man, we're desired not only for, we are fetishized. We're absolutely fetishized. People bitch and moan about media representation of black men and black women, but it works in our favor in some aspects. Like you are instantly the cool cat. Like as soon as you show up, so you are the Will Smith or the Kobe's or the LeBrons or the Jay-Z's or the Kanye. Like you're a representative of your entire culture and your people as soon as you show up, or the Beyonce or the Serenas or the Michelle Obamas or the Baracks. Like you automatically have that narrative attached to you as soon as you show up. So people are curious about you. So breaking the ice with people is easy for us. So it's like, oh, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Texas. Or I'm from New York. Or I'm from Atlanta. Or I'm from LA. I'm like, oh, okay. So, my favorite show is The Wire or Obama or whatever. So in terms of dating, not only are we fetishized, but we're in a unique position where we have the market locked up, basically. Like when you go somewhere and there are people who date brothers, there's no competition for you. Like it's wide open for you. So it's interesting, but from a cultural standpoint, it does become an issue because, for example, I'll use Thailand, for example. Interracial dating, marriage is an issue here. They'll date you. They'll happily date you. But when it's time to go home to meet the parents, it's going to be a problem. It's the same in Japan. It's the same in Korea. Like it's the same in the U.S. It's imagine like, young white girl taking home a brother. Like it's identical. But out here, but the difference out here in Asia is they don't give a fuck about being politically correct. They'll just say, no, you can't marry that black guy. Flat out. Like it's no, well, does he come from a good family? Nah, they don't care. Like, he ain't Thai, or he ain't Korean, or he ain't Japanese, so you can't marry him. Flat out. And family is everything out here. Like we come from an individualistic culture in the US. Some of us family means a lot, but it's still a culture of individualism and of progressiveness. And in the East, if you like to date Asian women or Asian men, for the female viewers, like that's an issue. That's a cultural issue, and and really, it's not only out here, man. It's in anywhere where people of color are not prevalent, where you don't see a lot of people of color. It's different in, say, Brazil. Again, there is still a stigma with interracial dating in Brazil. There are issues with being darker skinned in Brazil, but it's more common in Brazil. It's more common in Colombia. It's more common in Panama, but it's not common in Asia or Central and Eastern Europe.
Right. Oh, and, Erik, one thing I get a lot is when I post travel videos, right? One of the most popular videos that I have on my channel is called 5 Reasons to Date Foreign Women. And I get a lot of response. And one of the things that I get from a lot of men that travel a lot, like yourself, is once they go abroad and then they come back to America, they're like, I don't want to date these American women. I want to go back Brazil or Russia or Germany. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but do you prefer to date foreign women compared to U.S. women?
You know what, man? I hear this all the time, man. And here's the thing that a lot of brothers hate to acknowledge. It's misogyny. It's a form of misogyny because, a lot of the times one of the top things that a brother is going to tell you why he likes to date foreign women more than American women is because foreign women are more loyal, or they'll take care of a brother. And that's the thing. It's like women, in a lot of these cultures, in Colombia or Brazil, they're a machista culture where everything runs through the man, where the man is at the top of the totem pole from social hierarchy. So women cater to that. Women cater to that ego, and it's an ego thing for us. So, you show up and you come from the West, you come from the U.S. where you don't have women. Well, some women do, but you don't have a lot of women who. Everybody is a strong, independent black woman. Like, yeah, it's that. You know, and there is nothing wrong with that. Like, don't take that as me talking down on it. But some people don't want that. Some people don't want that conflict, that constant conflict. People don't want that. Like, yo, I want my shorty when I show up, I want dinner ready. I want my girl to do what I want her to do in bed. I want her to be more ladylike. I want her to be more reserved. That's what, and that kind of woman is starting to disappear from the West. It's becoming less and less acceptable to be a man, to be a masculine man, where you got brothers running around in skirts and shit. Like, and I have nothing. I'm like, yo, man, do you? But don't place that femininity on me. Like, don't, because I'm not that guy. I'm not trying to marginalize you. I just know what I like in a woman. Like, I'm not trying to deny your independence. I just won't date you. Like, I'll go elsewhere. And if you're looking for a guy, who's in touch with his feelings or whatever, that's the kind of dude you need to be with. But don't admonish me for who I am, you know? So when brothers go overseas and they find women who tick all those boxes on that list of what he's looking for, of course, why would he go backwards? Like, why would he go back into an abusive relationship? Man, I saw a clip of that Rob Kardashian joint with he's dating Black China, Sister Black China.
Black China, yeah.
And she was yelling at him on the phone, wilding out on him. You still texting bitches, motherfucker? And I'm like, yo, in a million years, I would never date somebody like that. Ever. Right. Flat out. And that's my preference. So if I am in the U.S. and I can't find a woman who's not like that, or who just doesn't happen to be in my circles, or I don't run into one, I'm going to go where I know they are. It's just common sense. And it's the same thing I tell sisters who can't find a good man. I'm like, well, where you looking? If you're looking for a good brother or somebody who fits your criteria of a good brother at the same 4 bars that you go to during the week, every week.
Real talk.
Then maybe you need to expand your horizons. Maybe the problem's not the guys, and maybe it's you. You know, so whenever I get this question or this comment or we have this conversation, I think brothers got to realize that, yeah, we have a privilege, man. We have that privilege to be able to pick up and go to a place where women or people, they cater to our desires and our needs. I mean, realistically, man, today, August 17th, 2016 is the greatest day in history to be an African-American man. It's today. Today's the best day. And then tomorrow's going to be better. And then the day after is going to be better. So if you are really looking for a woman to cater, or a man to cater to what you want, get out of the U.S. or get out of your neighborhood and go find that person, man. Mm-hmm. Like, I've dated, I would date anybody. I don't care, man. But there are some cultural norms that cater to me, my personality, or what I prefer from other places. Like, Romania, Thailand, Colombia, Brazil. So if I got to choose between that and then going back home into some kind of conflicty relationship, I'm staying out here.
There you go. All right. Well, Eric, let's switch it up a bit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. One thing I like about your videos is you show a lot about the local cuisine, the food. You hit up the street vendors. You don't just go to these, with some of these travel videos, they always go to the fancy restaurants, right? And you go to local ones. And my question to you is, now this might be an odd question, but whenever you hit a new spot, have you ever had problems with like food poisoning or diarrhea or anything?
You know what, man? The funny thing, I got sick maybe a month ago at a 5-star, at this amazing 5-star hotel that has a Michelin restaurant in it. I was working. I'm a journalist and I'm a luxury travel consultant. So I was there literally doing some review work for a client, and I got sick from foie gras. It's funny because every time I've ever been sick, it's been from a luxury dining place.
Really?
Like, Every single time I've ever gotten sick from food was from a luxury place. I have never been sick from street food, ever.
Wow. Now, what else? Now, you're in Bangkok right now, right? What are like some of your favorite cuisines or food to eat out there? Can you? I know you show a lot of video footage, and I'll link the videos to the bottom of the description box. Check it out. But explain some of the local cuisines. Is it mostly rice-based since it's Asian food?
Oh man, you know the crazy thing, a lot of Thai. So a lot of people don't know that Thai cuisine is largely influenced by Laotian Lao in the north and Chinese. A lot of like pad Thai, that's Chinese. Like the noodles, the noodle culture here is Chinese. It really depends because you'll get a lot of cuisine from the north, which is spicy. So that's where all that spice comes from. Is in the north. More herb, a lot of herb-based food, like it's called northern sausage is herb-based. A lot of oreganos, a lot of chilies, a lot of pork ground up. But here you get more of a savory flavor with coconut milks. A lot of curry-based stuff. Masaman curry is one. Excuse me. You get definitely fried rice, Chinese influence. You get a lot of seafood, but yo, the fried chicken out here, woo!
Word?
Man, killing the game out here, man. Thai people know how to fry some chicken. Thai fried chicken, no joke, man. So yeah, man, the cuisine is quite diverse, man. It's quite diverse. A lot of grill, man. They grill a lot out here, man. A lot of barbecue, a lot of grill out here.
Okay, all right. Now, Erik, I know you're a journalist, and we got to keep it professional. But you know what? Also, part of this interview is to have a little bit of fun. You know what I mean? So, what is like one of your craziest travel stories? Maybe landing at an airport, or you went to a club or something. What's like one of the where you was just like, yo, is this really happening right now?
You know what, man? The funny thing about this is, man, it's stuff that that would be crazy to you. It's just normal to me. But you know what, man? I got one story, man. I always tell this story, man. So I was traveling with my play sister, and we were in Phuket, Thailand, in the south, a resort island. And we had partied out the night before, and it was around, I want to say it's midday. Let's say 5 p.m. And we're staying at a hostel. And my sister she's like me. She's just like me. My play sister is just like me. Imagine me, but female. And right. A white girl. So we're kicking it, and I was like, yo, I'm going to go take a nap, and let's chill tonight. We're going to go out. We're going to turn up tomorrow. Let's chill tonight and just have a few brews later. And she's like, okay, cool, let's do that. I go to sleep about 5 o'clock. I wake up like 6:30. And she got like 15 people around the table. And then I walk in, and yo, Erik, yo, your sister. So my sister done put together a trip to a ping pong show. So if you don't know what a ping pong show is, a ping pong is where a woman puts ping pongs in her vagina and shoots them out at the crowd. That's what a ping pong is. And I'm like, yo, I'm with it. Let's go. So we go to this thing. It costs 500 baht. So 500 baht is say $15. It's $14, $15 or something like that. And you get a drink. So you go in and you get a drink or whatever. So we go in, and it's like 15 of us. So we kind of took up the whole front row around the stage. Like, so we own the whole side of the stage. So, you got these Thai ladies coming out and doing their thing, shooting ping pongs out of their pussy. So we're watching. And I'm sitting here drinking my drink, and this lady comes out, and she's just dancing on the stage doing her thing. And I'm like, what the hell is she doing? So all of a sudden, she squats down, and a fucking gerbil falls out onto the stage, out of her vagina. And just, like, his hair's all wet, like it's got a mohawk. It's a live gerbil. Starts running around on the stage. Craziness. So later in the show, it gets better. It gets better. So my sister's the kind of person that will volunteer me for everything. So they're looking for somebody to go up on stage. I'm not paying attention. My sister volunteers me to go on stage. So I got these 3 beautiful Thai women like, hey, come on stage. I'm like, yo, let's do it. I'm with it. So I get on stage and they start stripping off all my clothes. So I'm standing there butt naked in front of, say, a room 150 people.
Like
butt naked on
exposed?
Butt naked, B. Everything gone. My sister, everything. So it gets crazier. So they take a towel and cover me up and lay me down on this thing and start rubbing me and then start kind of stroking me off in front of everybody. Like, on stage. Now I'm like, I gotta represent. I was like, I gotta put on a show right now. I'm like, I was like, all right, let's wrap this up, ladies. And then we went to the back and we got dressed and chopped it. But yeah, man, that's Thailand, B. That's just what happens, man. It's like the Wild West out here, man. You can do whatever you want, man. That's probably my craziest story, man. But other times, man,
Erik, you got service in front of a big crowd on stage.
In front of my sister, B. In front of my sister, like crazy, man. Like, and she'll tell you, man. She'll comment and confirm, man. I got like 15 people I still keep in touch with who confirm that story, man.
Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. All right, Erik. All right. And, man, now I want to go back to a previous question that you already answered. And I know you mentioned that if you look for racism, you'll find racism. And I agree with that. If you look for negativity, you're going to find it. So me personally, I like to be around positive people who inspire me or motivate me. And like I said earlier before, in the video, you inspire me and motivate me, because if you can do it, why can't I do it? You know what I mean? And anything is possible. One of the things is that, one of your recent videos, they stopped you, for being black at the airport.
That was Medan, Indonesia, yeah.
Now, when you go through something like that where you stop at customs, now, can you tell me what goes through your mind at that point when you're waiting in customs? And, does that happen often, or was that
It doesn't happen, man. Funny, I go to London maybe. I fly through London Heathrow maybe easily 10 times every year. And every single time some bullshit happens. Like I get called to the back room, or I get held in line, or like it's always a place like London. But really, outside of London, man, it really doesn't happen that much. But like when it does happen, man, I understand people got to do their job, man. Especially with a place like Indonesia, where there is, man, Asia has a lot of drug trafficking from Africans, man. It's like, man, and that's what bothers me, man. People always like, they jump to this racism, like yo, man, if black folks wasn't doing stuff, yo, like, because I know for a fact that there's drug trafficking by Africans through here. Yeah, there's drug trafficking by Thais and Indonesians and Malay, but we stand out because we are from this culture. So when we do something as people of color, it becomes a big bright light. The attention gets drawn to the entire community. So it's easy for me to get pulled out of line, So when something like that happens, man, I tell everybody this: stay calm, B, because you're not gonna win. It's a fight. You won't win.
Yeah, don't cut
people are like, oh, I would have went off. I was like, why? And then your ass would get let in, and then that's that. You will always lose a battle with the people at the borders of every country. You lose.
And Erik, not to interrupt, but when you said I would have went off or cussed them out, this is typical black people mentality. Like, if you disrespect me. And see, when you're at the border, when you're traveling, all that's going to do is get you in jail.
Yep. It's like, I wrote an article a while back about how travel can save the lives of young black men. And one of my points in that article was it teaches us humility. And it's like, this whole idea that everybody owes you respect is ridiculously privileged. Like, people don't owe you respect. People don't owe you nothing. Like, that's such a a westernized thing that you just show up and people should automatically just respect you. Like, that's not the way the world works. It would be great if that was the case, but that ain't the way the world works. Man, you run into assholes. Like, I mean, even if you have regular interactions with the American police, you understand that. Like, sometimes you run into great cops, sometimes you run into asshole cops, but all of them aren't assholes. You know, you got to keep your head about you so you can deal with the situation later. Like, and so when stuff like that happens to me, man, I just stay chill. Like, really, because I'm just a naturally chill cat. Like, this is me, man. I don't take anything. I don't get riled up about things too much, man. Because in the big scheme of things, man, I travel for a living. I travel and I get paid for it, man. My life is sweet. Like, what I got to be upset about? Like,
now, Erik. One thing I think a lot of people have to realize is a lot of, America gets this stigma or stereotype that foreigners hate Americans. I think that when you travel, a lot of people don't realize is, we as Americans, not all of us, but some of us are very arrogant and cocky. And one thing I've learned from traveling is be open-minded to learn new things, be humble. And people will gravitate to that. You know what I mean?
Well, people don't dislike Americans, I think, man. I think people dislike assholes.
Right.
I don't know where they're from. Like, I mean, I probably think Chinese tourists get more of a stigma than American tourists, actually. And it comes from, like, Chinese tour groups are assholes. They are, like, Chinese tour groups, I'd say this all, they are the bane of my existence, man. I see a Chinese tour group, I don't want to go. I'm good, man. I ain't rolling with them. But it's, like, man, there's something else, man. I'm telling you, man. But, I think it's important to make an effort to understand a place or people or a culture and realize that, and this goes back to a privilege thing and an arrogance thing and an elitism thing where we go places and we expect them to automatically work the way things work back home. Like, we expect Bangkok to be like, Austin, Texas, or San Francisco. That's not how it works, man. Like, women they go places and they expect to be treated like women in the West. Like, no. Like, you're in certain places, you're a second-class citizen. That's the way it is. In certain places, because of the color of your skin, like, people look at you differently. That's the reality of it out here. Like, some people won't date you because you're black. Yeah, that's the way it is. And it's like, I'm not saying it's right, but that's the reality. But here's the problem, man. People live in a world that they create in their head. That they live in a world that they should exist. Like, it should be this way. So if it's not, I'm upset about it. As opposed to living in a world that actually exists. Like, yo, man, you know how much easier your life would be if you saw the way things were and you adjusted to that. Like, okay, if something's wrong, yeah, you can fix it, but you have to acknowledge that something is wrong. Like that. So now what?
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that because I was talking about that to another brother the other day, of this same thing called cognitive dissonance. You know what I mean? It's like you can show somebody the facts and they'll still say, no, it's not true.
Yep.
And, and I think a lot of people are like that, especially Americans, not just black people, but everybody. We kind of, live in our own narcissistic mind.
Because we're narcissists from a little kid, man. From little kids, everything revolves around us, man. The world revolves around us. Not only as Americans, but as individuals. Like, oh, man, you're special. Here's a medal for it. Like, oh, right. You exist, so you should get this. Like, that's not the way the world works. That's not, like, we are blessed. People are like, oh, well, like, socialism is, I'm like, yo, man, do you understand how easy life is in the United States for us? Like, man, we are, like, it is insane how sheltered we are. Like, I swear to God, man, it's like when I go home, I feel like everybody is walking around with this big-ass protective bubble around them. Like, right. Everybody is protected, and everybody has everything. Man, you go to Haiti. Oh, my God. Go to Haiti. I think every person in the United States who complains about how hard they have it should have a one-way ticket to Haiti, and then we see how hard they got it.
Now, Erik, once again, to switch up topics, and I'm just trying to get a lot of different opinions. So if I'm all over the place, forgive me.
Yo,
I'm not
I'm down, man. It's good to have a conversation like this. It's
rare. When you go to a new country, what are some of the things that you, in terms of sightseeing, how do you go about setting up a schedule to say, hey, you know what, I might be here for a long time or a short time. How do you manage your time to see as many sites as possible? And how do you find these different sites, especially some of the more quaint or sites that I've seen in your videos that are not big? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. More elusive spots.
Exactly.
So it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm on an assignment as a photographer, I'll work with a fixer, basically a local who knows the area. But even when I'm on my own, when I'm just doing my own thing, I always try to find a fixer. So basically, here's what a fixer does. A fixer is a local or a person who basically keeps you from getting shot in the ass. Like, they speak the local language, they know the culture, they know the background, they know the history, they know the small cafes, they know if they're a local. So their job is to make sure that you get the shot that you need or talk to the people that you need to talk to. In 2016 is a great time with things like Facebook, with couch surfing. Couch surfing is absolutely brilliant. So if I'm going to a new country, I always hit people up on couch surfing and say, yo, I'm going to be in town. Can I stay at your spot for a day or two? Or if not, or a lot of times I'll get feedback like, I've got friends in or I already have couch surfers, but I would love to meet up with you and show you around. We'll go grab dinner or have a drink or something like that. Like, I've met some of the coolest people that way. I'll get on Tinder. Shit, I'm single, so I'll get on Tinder. Tinder is probably one of the greatest travel apps for single men. Absolutely amazing.
It sucks in the US.
Say what?
It sucks in the USA though for black men. I'll tell you.
That's what I heard. But out here, amazing. But so I'll use a fixer. Or I'll talk to, or I'll work with locals to find these obscure cafes and neighborhoods and different places like that. But for me, man, I'll walk. I'm a walker, man. I'll look at a map, and I think there's a problem. A lot of people don't do this anymore, man. I pick a direction, and I go that direction, man. Like, that's simple. My camera strapped to my side, my cell phone in the pocket, couple dollars, and I'm gone, man. Because that's how you find the special spots, the obscure places, the little cafes, and like it was so crazy, man. I was in Bulgaria, Sofia, and that part of the world, they still smoke in everywhere, pretty much. They just still smoke. And I walked in this little pizzeria, and it was just air, just thick with smoke. And I sat down, I grabbed a bite to eat, and just some little old dude, had to be maybe 70, came up and started speaking broken English to me. And we talked for about a half an hour. He bought me a coffee, and I'll probably never see that guy again. I can't remember his name, but I remember that experience. And it was interesting because I didn't approach him. Like, he just came up to me. Like, and it happens so often because I travel by myself. I travel alone, and I'll go into a place like that with no reservations or no fear. It's Kosovo. Ali Salih. He's a boxer. Mm-hmm. He fought for Albania in 1988 Olympics, bronze medalist. So I'll shoot you a link to him. I'm walking down the street in Kosovo, country number 90, and I just hear somebody yelling at me, hey, table full of Albanian guys. Right. And they just said, oh, you're American? I said, yeah, I'm American. He's like, oh, you know boxing? I said, yeah, of course I know boxing. And then they introduced me to Ali. Now, Ali, we took pictures together. We just talked about him knowing Mike Tyson and Holyfield, and what it was like to box back in the 80s. What the war was like in Yugoslavia. Like, it was crazy. They called me. They reached out to me because I was just walking down the street in Kosovo. And I think when people tell me, oh, I'm going on a holiday, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to go to Jamaica. I'm going on a cruise. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not bashing it. Right. But I think people of color, man, we need to go to places where people of color don't go.
Right.
Like we need to, like that's the thing, man. People need to see us, and they need to understand what's going on back home. They need to know. Right. People are like, well, why? So you'll get all these international narratives, like the Black Lives Matter movement. People outside of the U.S. don't understand what that is. They don't know what BLM is. They really don't. They see black folks complaining on TV and yelling and shit, like in protest. That's what they see, but they don't understand it. So it takes one-on-one interaction with an actual person of color to explain this. Like, and I think that's what so few of us understand when we do travel, that we are ambassadors, we're teachers we are every black person. So for better or worse, everything that we say and we do represents our entire community. Exactly. And we have an opportunity to educate people to what it's really like to be black in the United States, to what African Americans really are like, as opposed to waiting for Kanye West to drop a new Slave album. Like, Kanye West is what black people are like, mm-hmm. according to the media. Like, that's what black people are, Kanye West. Like, I'm not like Kanye West. Kanye don't represent me.
Right.
Like, yeah.
And I love that you say that, because brothers don't realize, but you are a representative of your race, like you say, and if you go out of town and act like a buffoon and do some dumb stuff, then everybody, because of their limited experience or scope of other black people, that's what they're gonna judge it on.
Exactly, and man. I'll wild out, man. I do. I'll wild out. Man, I turn up. Right. But I am never disrespectful. Right. That's one thing I never am. I am never disrespectful. Like, now, again, there's, Americans party, I'm okay. But they'll never say, based on me, that Erik is disrespectful to our culture. That's something that will never happen. I'll take pride in. Actually, was going
to be my next question. I don't really hear you, and maybe you have, and I missed it, but the Bangkok nightlife, I mean, it's legendary according to a lot of people with your story. What is your take on the Bangkok nightlife?
You know what? The only reason for that is Bangkok for me is like home. Like, so okay. Bangkok is my oasis. I'm in Bangkok, I'd say at least maybe 8-9 weeks every year. So Bangkok is probably the one place I am the most. My friends are here. I've got a routine here. I've got a hot chocolate lady. I got a laundry lady. I've got a maid that always does my Airbnbs for me. Like, so Bangkok is home, so I don't really talk about it, about Bangkok. Man, actually, I might make a video about that. But I think the Bangkok nightlife is overrated. Here's why. Bangkok, it's difficult. It's difficult to explain because. Say what?
Is it the lady boys?
Oh, lady boys are cool as fuck, man. Yo, let me a quick tip. A quick tip to any brother who comes to Thailand trying to be a tough guy. Lady boys will put you on your ass. I'm telling you. Like, they put their hands to you out here. Like, yeah. Get caught out here running your mouth or trying to be disrespectful, man. Like, I done seen a lot of yoked up dudes get knocked out by lady boys, man. I'm telling you. So, yeah. It's funny. It's funny. The funny thing about Bangkok nightlife, for example, and I'm glad you brought up lady boys, is everybody here is mad respectful. It's a place. Bangkok is a place where you can be anything and do pretty much whatever you want. But as long as you're respectful, as long as you're not hurting people, and you can't walk down the street and pick fights. You can't get so fucked up to pick fights. You can't sit there and throw money in the face of a waitress or any wild, crazy shit like that. The police here, they'll stomp you out with no hesitation. Four little Thai police officers will beat the shit out of you with no problem, and then throw you in jail, and then make you pay them $3,000 to get out. But if you're chill, for example, there's a place called Apateka. I'm a big jazz fan. I love jazz. A spot called Apateka. There's saxophones. There's iron ferries that have world-class jazz. So I'll go there. I'll have a drink. A drink will run me 250 baht, so I guess $6-7 for a drink. Take a beautiful lady, and just sit there and listen to jazz for 2-3 hours. If I want to turn up, there's Sugars, which is a hip hop club down here. If I want to go to if I want to go to an after hours spot, there's this one African spot.
Wait, Erik, hold up.
Like 6 a.m.
Hold up. I don't mean to cut you off. Now, when you go to the spot like Sugars, what is the crowd like? Do you get like a lot of foreigners there, or what? Local?
Yeah. So Sugars is I would say it's a hip hop spot, but I would say the crowd is about. I would even say it was like 60% Thai, like 60% Thai, and maybe 20%. Not even that. Maybe 10% African, 10% Black, and then everybody else is white or some kind of mix. But yeah. I mean, most you get, and there's a significant African population here in Bangkok, So you go to Sugars, you're gonna run into some brothers, but not a lot, man. It really is mainly Thai. Everywhere you go in Thailand, it's mainly Thai. But Asia appreciates Black pop culture. They absolutely love Black pop culture out here. Mm-hmm. Movies, sports, music, absolutely love us out here.
Yeah. I heard in Japan they love brothers. Is that true?
Oh, man. A lot of love in Japan, man. A lot of love, especially for jazz. Yeah. Phenomenal jazz scene in Korea and Japan. If you like jazz, man, I would say Asia has one of the world's best jazz scenes.
Really?
I mean, absolutely. Because here's the funny thing. In the U.S., we don't fucking pay for jazz. We don't pay for music no more. Like, you rarely go to a great jazz club. And you see people who actually get dressed to go to a jazz club. In Chicago, you still have it. In Austin, you still kind of have it. In New York, you still have a few spots. But, like, as prevalent as it should be, it's not there. But out here, yeah, man, I'm telling you, you come to Asia, you let me know, and I'll show you some jazz.
You thought you could make it, but the city won, yeah. Now you're living on, nothing but pills and low income. Your